Hi, friends. So I chose a new book today. It's called How Full is Your Bucket for Kids. And I picked this book because I think sometimes we think of, bucket filling as being really, really important. But sometimes I think we think of it just for at school. But I can tell you that now that we're home all the time with our families, with our sisters, our brothers, our parents, this is just as important, maybe even more so now. So we're going to take a listen to this book, How Full is Your Bucket for Kids? And it's written by Tom Rath and Mary Reckmeyer. So let's take a listen. How full is your bucket? Felix was putting one of the last blocks on his tower when his little sister came in. I want to build with you, she said. Felix scowled. Go away. You are too little. I'm big. Stay back. You'll knock it over. I can be very careful. Go play with your baby toys, Anna. Ooh, that made her feel really like this. That's a big yucky feeling, right? Really mad. And she goes thwack and she kicks his castle over, knocks it over with her doll. Grandpa shook his head. Felix, you just dipped your sister's bucket. Like everyone else, Anna has an invisible bucket. When it's empty, she feels bad, but when it's full, she feels great. Didn't you ever notice your own bucket? Invisible bucket? Sometimes Felix couldn't quite tell when his grandfather was joking. Right now, though, his grandpa isn't joking, right? We know this. We know that we all have this invisible bucket that we carry around with us. And the people in our lives can either fill our bucket or empty our bucket. And we do the same for people. We either choose to fill it or empty it. But the next morning, when Felix woke up, there it was, a small gray bucket floating over his head. When I look up, I don't see my bucket. When Felix came down to have breakfast, his mother was in a hurry. I've got a meeting this morning, and it's almost time to go. Anna, sit still. Do you see how the mom is trying so hard to do Anna's hair while Anna's eating? Oh, and it looks like, look at Felix. Can you see him in the background? Uh-oh. I feel like I see something bad happening. Felix slipped and choco wheat scattered across the floor. Felix, yelled his mom, you should have used the stool to reach that. Felix could feel his bucket tip, and big, invisible drips spill out. Drip, drip. Ha ha, Anna laughed as she crunched the cereal with her shoe. Drip. Get the broom and clean that up before you miss the bus, scolded Mom. With the school bus honking, Felix quickly swept up the choco wheats and grabbed the last blueberry muffin. But before he could even take one bite, guys, if you look closely, you can see the bucket dripping. Do you see it? His invisible bucket is literally dripping out. Buster jumped up and grabbed the muffin from his hand. Drip. Hey, look at Felix's backpack. My baby brother has one just like it. Drip. Psst, Felix. Psst. Drip. Watch out, shrimp. Drip. His poor bucket just keeps dripping. Feels so bad. It was still morning, and Felix's bucket felt almost empty. You see him? He's in the hallway at school. There's all these kids. He sure is having a really bad day. And his bucket has almost been emptied. I think we've all had days like that. It just feels awful. As he watched his classmates walk into the room, he secretly hoped that they would trip and fall. That's what it feels like when you have an empty bucket. Right? When you have an empty bucket, you almost want bad things to happen to other people just so they can kind of know how you're feeling inside. It's really pretty awful, but it's true. We don't want to be alone having that bad feeling all around us. Felix slumped into his seat and he waited for something else bad to happen. Mrs. Bumblenickel walked slowly up to his desk and handed him a paper. He could hardly bear to look. Felix, you wrote a wonderful story. Would you please share it with the class? Felix grinned and felt a big drop land right into his bucket. Drop. The class grew quiet. They laughed at all the right places and oohed at all the scary parts. When Felix finally read the end, everyone clapped, even Emily, who sat next to him and didn't usually like dinosaurs. Felix felt a whole shower of drops land in his bucket. Maybe the day wouldn't be so bad after all. Look, you guys, drop, plop, plink, drops. And it says, the Gigantosaurus who wanted a pet, by me, Felix. Drop. Look, he noticed that in his lunch, he has a special note that says, love you, Mom. And look, drop. Team captains today are Veronica and Felix. So when he's out for PE, he gets picked as a team captain, and that feels super, super good. And now it looks like he's at art, and the teacher comes up and says, nice cow. And Felix says, it's dog. And the teacher says, well, nice colors there, Felix. And then down below, look here, it says, cool laser ant backpack, Felix. Somebody complimented his backpack. Remember earlier in the day, his bucket got dipped into. Do you remember that? Because somebody teased his backpack and said that his little brother had the same one. But this girl's giving him a compliment. By afternoon, Felix's bucket was nearly full. At recess, he looked around. Felix suddenly realized that his grandpa was right. Everyone else has buckets too. Look at this picture really carefully. Do you see all those kids? And if you look really closely at this page, you can see that some of the kids have really full buckets, and some of the kids, their buckets are kind of empty. They're kind of empty. Oh, look. Here somebody's dropped all these papers. And Felix says, let me help you. Look what happens when he does that. Felix gets a drop in his bucket because he helped somebody and he knows in his heart that is so kind. But look what happened to the guy who dropped the papers, right? He gets a drop too because someone was being kind to him. Let's look down here. Here's your baseball. Catch. And he throws it to him. And he says, thanks, dude. Look, Felix got an extra drop in his bucket because he helped somebody who lost his ball. And this boy got a drop in his bucket too. And his bucket sure needs some more drops in it because somebody did something kind for him. It made him feel good. Let's look over here. It says, hi, I'm Felix. Is it your first day? Yes, I'm a mirror. Now check out Felix's bucket. His is almost filled to the top. He's had a lot of things happen that day that ended up filling up his bucket. But check out Amir's bucket, you guys. Uh-oh, poor Amir. It's his first day at this school, and it looks like he's had a hard time because his bucket is really, really empty. But having somebody just come over and say hi is a great way to fill up your bucket a little bit. The strange thing was that for every drop he helped put into someone else's bucket, he felt another drop come into his own. Look, by the time he goes home, that bucket is about to slosh over the top because it's so full. When Felix burst in the door after school, he shouted, "You were right, Grandpa. I do have a bucket, and I understand how it works." Then he saw Anna's torn doll. "Bad dog," he almost scolded. But then he thought dogs might have invisible buckets too. "Your doll will be okay, Anna," Felix said. "Mom will fix her." She's crying and her bucket's really low. And Grandpa's got a bucket, and he's right. Their doggy has a bucket too. Until then, do you want to help me build the tallest building in the world with my blocks? What do you think? Do you think Anna's going to want to do that? I'm remembering back at the beginning of the story when Anna wanted to come and help her brother, and he said, "No, go away. You are too little." Guess what? This is the last page. And it says, "And so they did." And you guys, look at their buckets. Look at both of their buckets. They're so full. He really helped fill up his sister's bucket. So you guys, it is so hard right now because we're not at school and we're not seeing our friends and we're not playing our sports and we're not going to our extra classes that we love to go to. But I want to challenge you to try to fill buckets at home, to try to find kind things, use kind words, just surprise people with your kindness, because when you do a little bit of kindness and you're filling somebody else's bucket, your bucket fills. And it also reminds other people to fill buckets too. So I challenge you to try to do that over these next few days. Make sure that you are doing everything you can to be a bucket filler and to remind yourself that we all have buckets with us all the time, every day. And it's our job to try to help fill them because we know the secret. We know the secret about how important bucket filling is. So good luck. Maybe you can share with me what you did to fill a bucket because I would really, really love to hear that. Okay, you guys, miss you. Have a great afternoon.